Hello, thanks for joining me, astrologer Patrick Arundell, for the latest of my deep dive videos. This one's into the Virgo new moon, which occurs on the 6th or the 7th of September, depending on where you are in the world. Now, as ever, I'm going to explore what a Virgo new moon represents. I'm then going to share what the birth chart wheel for that event tells us, how other planetary influences are going to be coming into play in the following month. I'm then going to go on to explain what the prospects are for each of the 12 zodiac signs, so please stay with me. Now, if you're new to my channel, I'd be honoured if you would subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. And also, if you'd like to grab your free daily horoscope via to your device, please see the link below where you can subscribe. And if you want to ascend above your zodiac sign and get your year 2022 forecast, you can get the rest of this year free, as well as a character analysis, plus 30% off by seeing the link below. This is based totally on your personal birth data, so no two reports are the same. Gain searing insights for the time ahead. So the rest of this year you'll get 3 plus the whole of year 2022. Now on the screen you can see the birth chart wheel, and my chart, as always, is based on Universal Central Time and Greenwich. So that means the event is on the 7th at 1:51 and 38 seconds AM. And you can see that the sun and the moon are at 14 degrees 38 in the sign of Virgo. But in this particular location, the ascendant is at 25 degrees in Cancer. And that's really important because if you look at where the position of Mars is, just to the right of the moon, that's at 24 degrees in Virgo. So we have a beautiful sextile between the ascendant based on this location and Mars. That points towards a lot of energy. And the sun and the moon are in the 3rd house. That's very much to do with communication, everyday communication. But we do have on the opposite side of the heavens Pluto. And Pluto is very much about passion. So Pluto's opposite the ascendant. So we could see quite a lot of conviction around communications over the next month. But what does the energy of Virgo represent? Well, Virgo is very much to do with purity. It's the 6th zodiac sign. It's Earth, so it's very much into tangible results. It's also mutable, so it flexes. It's ruled by Mercury, and it has a great desire to assist others. So very often people are involved in food distribution, manufacture, cooking, catering, healthcare, physical support of others with disabilities, anything to do with distribution. Very often their charts are very Virgoan. It's also a wonderful position for us to be thinking about how we can make our lives run a bit more smoothly, with more efficiency, which is Virgo is very much about that. Now we might think if we could be a bit more virtuous about our physical activities, for example, or perhaps it's time to look more carefully at the ingredients on some of the food that we consume. Or if our home perhaps could do with a little bit of a declutter, perhaps it's that loft space or that cellar space or that garage, perhaps we can sell off some stuff we don't need. It will create new energy. And that greater order that Virgo thrives upon can really gain from this particular event. So a Virgo new moon is a great opportunity to take the creativity, the passion, and the flair that came from the Leo energy preceding this period, but convert it into something that's much more workable. So it's about getting our feet on the ground in lots of ways. Now, I told you, getting the chart wheel back on the screen, that I would inform you a little bit more of the other planetary influences. And the big one that stands out is the fact that Uranus, the planet of the unexpected, of surprises, of innovation, in the sign of Taurus, is in an enabling trine with the sun and also the moon. So when the sun and the moon are together, that's balancing the more masculine drive of the sun and the more empathetic, receptive energies of the moon. But we bring Uranus into the mix. We're talking about things happening quickly. There can be opportunities to use new information or innovation around our attitude to work, the 6th house, health, the 6th house, efficiencies, the 6th house, anything to do with refining things, but using the fresh energies of Uranus to look at things in a new light. But if you're looking for a job, for example, an opportunity could come very, very quickly over the next 4 weeks, because Uranus is an energy which is very electric. It's very much about the truth. We also are being encouraged here to be using our resources in as careful a way as possible. So, whether it's recycling our packaging or trying to avoid being wasteful in any way possible is going to be a smart thing for us all collectively to do. What are the challenges? Well, I already mentioned that Pluto is opposite the ascendant, so that could be a little bit challenging. But Pluto also forges an amazing link to Mars, and these two are the co-rulers of Scorpio. Now, Scorpio traditionally was governed by Mars. If you're into traditional astrology, you may not consider that Pluto is influential. If you're someone who's more into modern astrology, you may think the only ruler of Scorpio is Pluto. Personally, I think they're both absolutely relevant. So they're collaborating in a wonderful sextile, which is so energized and can give us so much drive and verve. If there's something you really feel that you want to achieve, the passion of these two and the meticulous attention to detail of the new moon is a great combination to have, that's for sure. We also have a terrific angle between the North Node and Saturn. The North Node is the kind of instinctive direction of travel for us all in the sign of Gemini, so it's about communications. Saturn's in the 7th house. 7th house and Saturn, that's challenging. It means that we have to take our relationship seriously, keep the lines of communication open, and the North Node is in the 11th house of the community, along with Uranus, which is interesting. So being aware of how our individual attitudes affect others or link up with others is a critical part of the process. But the other aspect that I really like in this particular event is the fact that Venus and Jupiter are in a wonderful trine. Now, these two are known as the benefics. Venus is the lesser and Jupiter is the greater benefic. In other words, they can bring good things to us. And in air signs like they are, communication could bring its reward. And if you're fortunate enough to be going on a date and you find that you can really chat with someone you meet, the chances are that this relationship could have quite a big bearing on your future. I can't say that you'd be together for life, but it may be a very enjoyable interaction and ongoing possibility. Now, if you stay with me, I'm now going to share what the impact of this particular event will have on each of the 12 zodiac signs. Now, Aries, this particular new moon is asking you to think about how you use your resources because of Uranus, the 2nd house, and therefore, even if you feel that you don't have a great deal of money or a great deal of possessions, if you think afresh about how you use what you have, it could see you come up with some ingenious solutions. Also, your ruler Mars, in that very, very powerful angle to Pluto, suggests that a new job possibility definitely could be manifested over the next month if you really put your mind to it. But with Uranus in the mix, it may mean trying something different, being more flexible, perhaps using old or existing skills repackaged in a new, fresh and enlightened way. Now, Taurus, obviously for you, the sun and the moon are in the 5th house of joys, and to have Mars there as well, the one thing you're going to have in spades over the next month is sex appeal. And of course, you might say, I already have plenty, Patrick, how dare you? Well, okay, I take the point, you have even more. you can have an absolutely galvanizing impact on anyone who's lucky enough to enter your orbit over these next 4 weeks. But with Pluto linking with Mars, maybe you need to step outside your comfort zone in order to really achieve your creative aims, to demonstrate your talents to people, to bring about more sociability in your situation. Sticking with what you know is not necessarily going to render the best results over this next month. So it's time to dare to be a little bit different and see where it leads. And with Jupiter highlighted in its great link with your ruler Venus, but Jupiter right at the top of your horoscope, you know, some kind of good news could develop in a professional situation as well. Now, Gemini, for you, the combination of the Sun and the Moon is in the 4th house. So where you live, who you live with, and how. Redecoration may be something that you consider. But of course, Uranus continues in your 12th house, which is, as I've mentioned quite a few times this year, quite a complex location, because the 12th house is what's hidden, what we don't necessarily want to embrace. It can be our subconscious, it can be our fears, and Uranus is a very restless influence, so your nervous system may have been taking a little bit of a hit, particularly when Uranus is squaring Saturn, which, remember, is going to come back into play in the last 5 weeks of this year, peaking on Christmas Eve. So what I would say is, if you are developing a greater understanding of your emotional needs, this particular new moon can really assist the process. But it does mean being joined up with what our nervous system is about. It's what stimulates us, it's what alarms us. If you're connected to that emotionally and more integrated, the more you're going to gain from this particular event. But with Venus and Jupiter in a glorious alliance, even somebody who's introduced through a family member, or perhaps you just have an emotional comfort or ease with, could take on a more glittering appeal in the next 4 weeks. Which brings us to Cancer. Now, Cancer, for you, your sign is ruled by the moon. So any new moon is wonderful for you because the moon blends with the fire of the sun, so that is empowering. And this area for you is the 3rd house of everyday communications. So that governs, you know, text messages, emails, chatting to neighbours, people in your community, siblings, quick moving communication. Also, our desire to download information. So anything to do with technology can also be blessed by this particular event. But also your thinking could be quite changeable at the moment, but if it is, and you're finding yourself having quite a different variety of ideas about where your future direction can go, that's actually very good. It's just, it may feel slightly unsettling, but a really powerful conversation you have over the next 4 weeks could inform you of a much greater clarity over that direction. And if things do change, some peripheral things are shifting around, I think the central theme is you do need to find a way to be free around your future, yet connected with others. So a lot of conversation is going to unfold over the next 4 weeks. I think it's going to be very sparkling and, you know, I think quite quick moving. So I think there's going to be quite a pacey time for you to enjoy. Now, Leo, the new moon occurs in your 2nd solar house, very much to do with everyday resources. But having Mars there linking to Pluto suggests your desire to shake up this particular area and really get it working efficiently, very Virgoan, is going to be immense. With Uranus in the mix, maybe when it comes to your work, if something has worked well for you in the past but has changed because of the technological revolution, because of COVID, because of just the way society continually seems to be moving at speed, you know, whether it's artificial intelligence or robotics, maybe you do have to find a way to challenge that part of your nature that likes to do what you're really comfortable and familiar with. So I think you're being asked to step outside that familiarity and see where it will lead you. But with Venus and Jupiter in such a beautiful alliance, and the North Node and Saturn, the way you cultivate contacts and relationships with others is going to be central to how you improve your financial and professional situation. That brings us to Virgo. Now for you, obviously this is the most glorious of events, because if ever there is a time in the year to give yourself a makeover, to galvanize yourself into action, to become very much in the moment, to move forwards in a new direction, or to add extra energy to an ongoing strand that's been important to you, then it's this particular new moon. This is one of the most exciting new moons I can remember for a while, to be honest. And Uranus has been pushing you for about 2 or 3 years now to take a step outside what you know. And if you are actually physically changing something, or you're getting more physically active, or you're wanting to interact more with others in terms of sociability, your timing is going to be really boosted considerably by this particular event. But also your finances look quite encouraging as well, with Venus in your second solar house linking so well to Jupiter. Saturn has been testing out your legendary meticulousness and application since it's been in Aquarius, since the 22nd of March to the 2nd of August 20, and then since the 17th of December 20 through to now. But as long as you're continuing to do what you do best, which is to decipher what's really essential, to sieve out what's not, to put your energies into what's critical, and then you see results. Well, this particular period of time is about you really putting more energy into what's inspiring you. So don't let your pragmatism pulverize your passion. That's the key to this particular new moon. Which brings us to Libra. Now, this new moon, Libra, is in your 12th solar house, one of the more complex new moons. You know, we have this general sense that new moons are good and full moons can be challenging, which is actually not true. It's not binary like that. It's a bit like quite a few YouTube astrologers say that Saturn's really tough and Jupiter's amazing. Again, I don't believe that that's the case either. I just don't think it's as simple as that. The process you've been going through since Pluto moved into your sign in 2012 has been refining the emotional basis and the security in your life, but that may have meant that you've had to create your own boundaries. You're a very giving and diplomatic person, but if people have just been taken or you felt invisible, then you've had to push back. And there can be more of that in the next month, but also a time when you could feel quite delicate or vulnerable at times because of the sensitivity of the 12th house new moon. Now, if that's the case, try to go with it. There's some new people coming into your world that are so exciting for you. Trust me on this. It really is looking very, very encouraging. The people that you can really count upon are going to become more obvious as this new moon period unfolds. Now, Scorpio, your sector of friendship is ablaze with possibility. Uranus in your 7th house of relating suggests some new people can come into your world in a very sudden, unexpected but exciting way. Your two co-rulers are collaborating brilliantly. Your passion to express your ideas is fantastic, which can give you great conviction, and people can really understand that what you say is what you mean. But also, there is some sensitive stuff going on in your 12th house, and that's linking with your 4th house. So even though there's a lot of activity around friendships, I think it is a case of not so much the number of friends, it's more to do with the quality. So some kind of refinement could be going on, and what Uranus can do is push us to let go of situations which constrain us in some ways. Uranus is about the truth, so you're being asked to confront the truth of your friendships and your future life direction, and be mindful of your emotional needs during this 1 month period. Which brings us to Sagittarius. Sagittarius, Jupiter, your ruler, is forging an amazing link with Venus in your sector of friendship, Jupiter in your sector of everyday conversation. So a lot of chat's going to go on over the next 4 weeks, but it could be around your work. And if you really want to make a push for a big goal or prize or new position or promotion, this is a fabulous time to go for it. Absolutely believe in what you're doing. Mars is giving you a lot more self-belief and confidence on this particular event. So don't let anyone persuade you that you can't do what you want to do. Believe, and I think your connections to others are going to help to give you an enormous advantage over others in order to take your hopes forwards. Now, Capricorn, this particular event occurs in your 9th house of expansion, of independence, of excitement, of travel. Now, COVID regulations mean that in different parts of the world there are different regimes and different approaches. If you're fortunate enough to be somewhere where it is a bit freer and easier, I think the chances are you're definitely going to want to get away. And if you can do this even quite spontaneously, like a last minute booking, that will give you an enormous buzz. But you do have Venus and also Mercury right at the top of your horoscope, so travel could be linked to a business opportunity. Which brings us to Aquarius. Now for you, the position of the Sun and the Moon are in your 8th house of passion, where you're most invested emotionally, sexually, financially. This can be the most entrepreneurial part of the year for you. And with Uranus in your sector of the home, maybe it's something about a property that you're renovating, moving through a period of change. It's exciting, maybe it's unsettling, but because there's such wonderful links between Mercury and Venus in the sign of Libra, your sister air sign, and Saturn and Jupiter in your sign, this can be a really exciting new moon period. But I think what you're testing out with this process of this new moon is you need to feel really gripped by whatever you're doing. And if you don't feel gripped, that's where you may think of some changes, because the 8th house, where the Sun and the Moon are, can be about where things come to a natural end and are reborn in a kind of phoenix-like way, or it can be where we put even more commitment and dedication in if the vibes feel right. Which brings us to Pisces. So for you, this particular event is all about relationships, and there can be an exciting opportunity to improve yours. It could be with friends, it could be about your alliances with others, and also some finance can be part of the mix for you positively with Venus and Jupiter working so well together. It may be that you're going to be asked to do something behind the scenes where you won't necessarily get the recognition, but I think it's important that you do assert your boundaries, but also sharpen up your listening skills. That's not to say they're not good, but we can all work at ourselves all of the time. So your ability to interact with others in a clearer, more defined, more collaborative, harmonizing way is what this new moon gives you the opportunity to do. It's been a real pleasure being with you. Again, sign up for your free daily horoscope direct to your device by clicking the link below, or if you want to get your forecast for 2022 and get the rest of this year free and get 30% off and get your character analysis, please see the link below. Thank you so much and goodbye.